Welcome to How to Tutorials. To begin, I am Dion Pouncil, founder of Money School. In this video, TradingView also tries to give a basic explanation of Fibonacci, who he was and what was his goal. We want traders and investors to be able to grasp the fundamentals of Fibonacci, particularly the golden ratio. To enhance your charting experience, TradingView developed a number of Fibonacci tools and options, and we'll show it through this video. Let's talk about Fibonacci and using Fibonacci and Fibonacci tools on TradingView. And Fibonacci is a tool that we built into the platform for you to use to analyze trades, study markets, and also just learn more about planning the trade and understanding the Fibonacci sequence in a mathematical concept that has gone back many of hundreds of years. So by the way, to get started with Fibonacci on TradingView, you're going to click this arrow tool to open up the Fibonacci menu, and you'll see here it says Retracement. Well, Fib is short for Fibonacci trend-based Fib extension. That's a trend-based Fibonacci extension, and you can sort of see these Fib channels, Fib time zones, Fib circles, Fib spirals. We're going to go through all of this, and we have indeed gotten many questions about things like the Fib spiral. So you select the tool, then click a point on the chart, and you can see it's drawing a Fibonacci spiral. We'll walk you through this tool though, don't you worry. By the way, another really cool tip to getting started with Fibonacci on TradingView is go up to your indicators and strategies menu and click now. Make this search box your best friend. Because if you type in a keyword like Fibonacci, you'll see all of the scripts, indicators, and strategies coded by other traders and investors around the world. For example, this says Fibonacci Bollinger Bands. It was coded by Retracement. It has 25,791 likes. You can click this to visit his profile. You can click this to read more about the indicator. You can click these brackets to dive into the source code. So how did he code it? He was generous enough to share that indicator with everyone, and you can also click it to add it to your chart. This is called Fibonacci Bollinger Bands. Watch how cool this is. Let's see it. These are Fibonacci Bollinger Bands. For those who are familiar with Bollinger Bands already, this is really interesting to see. This is going to be some standard deviation lines based off of Fibonacci. Really cool. Now let's take this off the chart though and just dive into the basics. Now what we're going to do is give you a background on Fibonacci because we believe you need to understand the concept to use it correctly. But remember, we are not Fibonacci trading or investing experts. Well, we are experts at is building the tools and the application of Fibonacci on the chart so experts and pros can use them. Make better decisions, analyze markets, look into trade ideas. You get the idea. So that's the cornerstone of this talk. This is not some magical formula that will always guarantee a winning trade. It's more about here's how to use the tools on TradingView, and here's the inspiration for the tools and how they were developed. How did we get to Fib circles? Let's get started. So this is Leonardo of Pisa, came to be known as Leonardo Fibonacci. And the reason why we're including this picture of him here is because this is how old the Fibonacci sequence is. This goes back hundreds and hundreds of years. It has been in the human lexicon for a long time. And while you're watching this, just remember that this is not a new concept. This has been around for a long time. And this is the man himself. The person who people claim discovered Fibonacci, the Fibonacci sequence. Next up, we've included these two images here, and we'll actually even move this one over here as well because it's related to these two. So what we're going to do is just show you these two seashells. And the reason why we're showing you these seashells is because you can find the Fibonacci sequence all throughout nature and really throughout the world. And all you have to do is just maybe go to your search engine and type in something like Fibonacci in real life or Fibonacci in Mother Nature. And you'll see it. So, for example, this shell. So if you're at the beach and you picked up a shell, you could look into the way that shell grows, starting from the smallest point in the center. And then you would see that it proportionately grows in a Fibonacci sequence. So from the smallest point to this next largest point, to this next largest, to this next largest, it is growing proportionally in a Fibonacci sequence. And what we'll do is we will also show you this, which is the equation, or this is the Fibonacci sequence, which the squares do create this Fibonacci spiral. So keep that in mind as we go through this. You can see each square here. See, the squares will make this even larger and then create this Fibonacci spiral. So 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 plus 3 is 8. 8 plus 5 is 13. 13 plus 8 is 21. And you can see the Fibonacci ratio happening. It is a sequence of numbers that is growing proportionally. And if you divide these numbers by each other, so there's 3 and 5, 5 and 8, 8 and 13, what you'll see. What's so interesting about all of these numbers as this grows is that they have a ratio of 1.618. Or of course, you could do the inverse of that 0.60. Just remove the 1 there. And so this golden ratio can be found throughout nature. It is a proportionate way that something grows, or that something is shaped, or maybe just from one object to the next. Very interesting. There's no real rhyme or reason, or no one knows exactly why this is. Some people believe that it's actually efficiency. The way things grow in this proportion is for the efficiency. And this is a plant. And if you look at this plant, you'll see that if you were to look at the smallest point here and then work your way down, the plant is growing proportionally through this golden ratio to get larger and larger. This is also the basis of fractals, by the way, where the smallest point is actually the same as this point here. If they're just different sizes that have grown by this golden ratio. So that is the basics of Fibonacci. And one more time, just to really hammer this point home, this is the Fibonacci sequence. 11,235, 813, 213, 4558. Now, what's happening is each number is being added up and creating the next number. And if you divide one number by its previous number, you get the golden ratio. So it's a proportion of growth. And that proportion of growth is happening just by adding up the previous number. And we'll take our drawing tool here. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. 2 plus 3 is 5. 3 plus 5 is 8. 5 plus 8 is 13. That is the Fibonacci sequence. So we hope that this got you started and at least give you a foundation to begin to understand the Fibonacci sequence. And at the core, what we want to make very clear is that the same way this golden ratio can be found throughout nature, throughout the world, it can also be found in financial markets, or so some people say, the same way that all trades and investments are arguably made by a person. That natural phenomenon would lead to the Fibonacci ratio appearing in different ways in markets. So with that being said, we hope this introduction helped. Let us know, at least show you the tools from the ground up. Remember, what we're about to show you is not a get-rich-quick scheme or anything like that. In fact, the total opposite. This is the way the tools can be used or for you to build your own trading strategy. Investment strategy. Or maybe you're just interested in math and markets and you'd like to follow Fibonacci in the world of financial markets. That's also really cool and just fine. You can do that with these tools. So let's start with the Fib Retracement tool. Now, how would you use the Fib Retracement tool? Well, there's a few different ways and we're going to show you both. So you could use the fiber retracement tool to very simply measure out, say, a high point on the chart. So this is a high point, and you might say that this point is significant because this was the last cycle high. And what you could do is click to then begin the tool. And then you could drag your mouse to the price today and click. And now what you've done is you've sort of created these Fibonacci zones based on this high point through the price today. And why would you do this? Well, you might do this because you want to see from this cycle high what are the important ratios or Fibonacci levels to watch. And you might say, well, look at that. If I plan to buy this dip, I might watch this first Fibonacci ratio here. It looks like about $24.50. And you can mark each level up like that. But there are many different ways. You could also go to the Fibonacci retracement tool and click the current price today. So let's actually click the current price today and work our way backwards all the way to this huge crash low. This was the COVID-19 crash in March of 2020. And now let's click. And now, instead of measuring from the cycle high, we're measuring from instead the price today down to this low. And the reason why we chose these 2 points is because these are such significant moments in markets. And now we might say to ourselves, well, there's a lot of room here for a potential move. You might notice what's really interesting about this is the golden ratio. 1.618 is right here. The golden ratio also on this example happens to correspond with the last 2 highs, which created a fairly epic double top. So what does that tell you? That tells you that you probably want to keep this level in mind. Not only does the Fibonacci golden ratio correspond here, there's also 2 double tops at this same zone. So you might say, maybe while planning this trade, maybe you're looking to get short. You might say, I'm going to place a short order here. Or maybe you're looking to have a take profit. So you would take profit. Maybe you think it goes here. You buy here and it somehow works its way up to the zone. You would put your take profit zone right in this Fibonacci level. The point being is you're using this golden ratio that's seen throughout nature, throughout the world to help you navigate markets. It's just sort of a proportionate move. There's a price move that's proportionate to the golden ratio that you think is worth placing a trade at. Exiting the trade at. That is one way you could use that. So that is the Fibonacci retracement tool. And keep in mind, this Fibonacci retracement tool can be used in many different ways. Everyone places their retracements differently. If you're looking to go deeper into Fibonacci retracements, we highly recommend you do more education on it. You find people who are experts who can teach you more. You go to the indicators and strategies menu, search Fibonacci, and then of course you can see all of these indicators and strategies that were coded. You could send these users at it to learn more. You could click just to add their indicators to the chart to learn something new. You get the idea. So that is the favorite retracement tool. Before we move on to these other tools, we want to show you the settings of the fiber retracement. So let's keep moving around because this does work for more. This works for all asset classes. Fibonacci tools can be used across the world depending on your strategy. And if you believe that this golden ratio applies or Fibonacci applies to various markets. Let's go to the Nifty 50 index in India. And we're going to go ahead and click this fiber retracement tool. Now, we're just going to place this. We're just going to place it so it aligns with. Say, let's make it align with this low because this low looks like really, or this low here because this looks like the cycle low. There was this huge uptrend, and this was the first downtrend of this huge uptrend. So we want to measure this Fibonacci ratio in this example. starting from this point here. And remember, the way you select points is really up to you and what you're looking for. So now we could use this tool to try to map out some zones of support. And by the way, what's always interesting about this tool is you apply it to a chart. It just shows you all of these colors and ratios for you to quickly examine. You don't even have to use it to place trade, but it's pretty cool to see how sometimes the Fibonacci levels just align perfectly with sort of this support and resistance. And that alone can just help you draw better lines. If you are looking to do your own support and resistance levels, for example, well, you could do Fibonacci retracements first and then draw your lines from there just as inspiration. Not necessarily using them exactly, or using them for inspiration. So as an example, we just picked two levels that looked really interesting to us and we drew them right across those Fibonacci levels. And take a look. You can see prior highs there. You can see here, there was lots of support here. Tons of trading action here when it broke through. This is where resistance turned into support here. Some pretty unique ways to use these tools. Let's go back to it though. And to open up the settings to adjust this tool, you want to always just double click, or of course you can right click and go to settings. And now for your Fibonacci retracement, you have tons of options available to you. Style, coordinates, visibility. Let us go over that really quick. First of all, there is the trend line, which is a very important tool to understand and master. If you are interested in Fibonacci while charting, trading, or investing, just check this box to turn on the trend line or turn it off and see these white dots here that are going up through the chart to the right. You can turn them on and off that easily. But why is this important? Because this can show you that there's sort of a price trend while drawing your Fibonacci retracement levels. Or what's also pretty cool about this is you can actually draw. This is another method. We don't know many people who do this, but it's one way you could think about it. You can now actually draw your fiber retracement. Say, over the trend lines, you're kind of doing a trend line based Fibonacci retracement. So what we did is, rather than clicking a starting point to an ending point, we actually drew the trend line first to go through these levels. So you can see this trend line, and then it broke here. And so we would do this because we're kind of combining a trend-based analysis or drawing method with Fibonacci, and maybe just trying to combine both tools at once. And by the way, combining multiple technical tools is usually a good thing to do. You're just looking for different confirmations in price action or planning ahead. And right here you can see this trend line goes up, and quite interesting to see where the next level of resistance would be in this zone based on this trend line. So that's something to think about. So let's go back to our fiber retracement, and let's instead go up to the current price. Let's actually do this the other way. And let's click this price here and go down to the swing low. Now we double click to open the settings. We have trend line on levels line. So what is this? Well, the levels line is where each Fibonacci level is showing. Well, you could change the thickness of that line to stand out more. And this just depends on your own style, strategy, look, and feel. If you'd rather keep it rather thin and not so evident, you could do the smallest line or the thickest. In this example, we're going to make the lines just that big because we really want you to see and feel these Fibonacci lines. You can also make them dashed or dotted, so it's at each Fibonacci level. You can see you have full customization of that. Next up, a really important tool, especially for drawing these retracements, is you can extend lines left. So look what happened there. They went left, or extend lines right, and check left and just go to the right. So now we're extending these Fibonacci levels all the way across the chart. Now let's talk about why you would do this and why this is such a valuable tool to have. And we're going to shrink this just so we can zoom in more to show you the importance of this. Because this next topic is quite important. So why would you extend your lines to the left or to the right? Right-click Settings. It's because maybe you think these Fibonacci levels are going to be important to watch into the future. In which case you want to extend them to the right. So you do extend lines right. Enter your settings box. And now you'll have these lines as like a roadmap going as far into the future as you please. You could come to this chart any day. This is a Fibonacci video chart. Open this up, nifty, and these lines will be here and they're extended into the future. And it's one thing to do because maybe you might follow this chart for years. And you'll kind of see that these lines over time perhaps worked out perfect. Broke through here, but bounced here briefly, broke through, bounced. It sort of hit this level and bounced resistance here. You could just leave them open well into the future and watch price over time. So that's why you would extend these lines to the right. Why would you extend them to the left? Well, the reason why you extend them to the left. Now, this is pretty cool. And something to think about is maybe you want to go back in time to see if these levels have ever played an important role at any other point. Just based off of this Fibonacci levels, that retracement that you drew. And obviously we can see here, it's never really played a role because in this chart example, this is the highest price has been. So there's no price history beyond what we know right now on this chart. So let's go back to our settings. So let's turn these both off for now, but you get the idea. Extend them into the future. Go back in time and see if they matter at all anywhere else. Next up are your Fibonacci levels. So you can see here you have 38.2. The golden ratio, 0, 6181, 61,812.618, so here they all are. And you can turn them off by unchecking the box. You can see they're all turning off. And if we were to uncheck all of them, there would be none, where you can turn them on. You can see as they're being placed. Watch how cool this is just to see the Fibonacci levels. It constructed based on your 2 points that you selected. And remember, when selecting your points, these are points that are significant based on volume, price, action, news, whatever you deem to be important, click and you draw them. Now watch what happens. They get added as we go. You can see here they're added. And there you are. Now, you can also control the colors of this. So depending on your color background, our charts are currently set to dark color theme. And if we wanted to say make this, some of these lines fit in better with the dark color theme. So it's just easier to see. What we could do here is change the color. So we could go here white. We could go here and say orange. And perfect. So you can make the colors fit your chart style better. Additionally, you could build your own gradient based on the significance of levels. So let's try that right now. 0 is here. Essentially, the starting point is white. And then let's go gray. You want to move left to right. So this is going to be gray. And then this is going to be darker. And let's make this a little bit darker. And then this. Let's go. Let's turn this on. Let's do this. And let's go green. And then this. Let's go even more green. And then this. Let's go even more green. And this super green. And this darker green. And then up here we're going to say, you know what? This is a zone where it's getting a little frothy. Based on the levels we've drawn, it seems to be maybe a moment. You want to take some profits. We'll shift it to red. So now what we've done is we've made our Fibonacci levels sort of fit our targets. This is green because maybe in our example, we believe this is possible. We could go this much higher. Maybe it's green because we think this is our dip buying. we would buy at these levels. But then, of course, if price were to manage to get up into these Fibonacci levels into here, well, we changed the color to red because it's kind of our way of saying that's our target price that looks like it's going too far too fast. So we have it red if price were to go into the zone. So that is the Fibonacci retracement. And what we're doing, by the way, applies to all of the Fibonacci tools here. So you can actually open the settings for any of these Fibonacci tools and do just what we're doing. Double click in your background. So you can also change the background and how strong you want these Fibonacci levels to be. The transparency of it. You can also just turn off the background altogether to only have levels. It totally depends on you. Remember, what's your style? How do you like your charts to look? And that's entirely your call. Maybe you want the colors to be this powerful. You don't even want to see price because all you want to know is if it hits these levels. I want the biggest reminder. I want these colors to be super strong and easy to see. And for now, though, we'll kind of change this gradient down so we can see the price action within each level. So reverse this is also another important feature depending on how you draw your Fibonacci tool. And this is kind of our point earlier about how you use the tool and how you're using it in your trading or investing process. You may draw the tool differently to where you'll want to reverse these. All it's doing is flipping the levels rather from going upward like this. Now it's flipped and going downward. So maybe you were looking for a dip to buy, or this is the levels lower that you want to watch. You get the idea of prices here. So if you uncheck this, you'll see it just shows now it's just showing the ratios. But if you check prices, it's now showing the price level with the ratio. So if you're confused by all the numbers on the left-hand side, well, just know you have to know your Fibonacci sequence. For example, 0.68 is the golden ratio. 1.68, right. This is what you have to know. So the other numbers you're looking at scroll down. Show prices are the prices of the actual asset you're looking at. You have your levels here. So you can see, you can also hide those. These are the Fibonacci levels. And you could do percent or values entirely up to you. The labels, you can move them to the center, which is kind of cool. So you can see their center. You can move them to the right. You can also move them top or middle or bottom. You can also do on a log scale. And log scale, remember, is important because it changes when you have your scale set to log rather than being a fixed unit. So every $1 is the same space on this price scale is actually made so that there's a percentage change different. So, from $14,500 to $15,000, that is a much different percentage move than, say, $19,000 to $22,000. But if you have it on a unit chart, $1 each unit, that doesn't account for that percentage change. So that's the point of log. We'll make more videos on that, but you can actually set your Fibonacci to be based on this logarithmic factor coordinates. So if you want to make your coordinates as specific as possible, for example, if you just didn't watch these lines change as we change these coordinates, say we want to make them so specific, we just want big round numbers. And there we go. So you can kind of see we just totally changed it because we changed these prices to these big round numbers and then it adjusted on the fly. Well, we can undo that, obviously, to bring back our current levels that we drew. And then, of course, there's visibility. Visibility means, do you want to view these Fibonacci levels on all time frames or only on specific ones? So we're on a daily chart, but we don't want to see these levels on a 30-minute chart. Okay, so watch what we do. We go to daily, we open our settings, we go to visibility, and we uncheck minutes. So now that we've unchecked minutes, watch what happens now. When we go to the 30-minute chart, the Fibonacci tool is not showing. When we go to a 65-minute chart, the Fibonacci tool is showing. But that's because it's technically hourly 65 minutes. That's an hour. But if we go to 15 minutes, it's not showing. So you get the idea. We'll go back to now and hourly. It's showing. So that's also important to know. In fact, we'll delete these from our menu so that we keep it under an hour. 1 minute. It's not showing. But if we go back to a daily, there it is. You can control the visibility. And this is good for if you're drawing Fibonacci and moving between all of these different time frames. Well, you're going to want to know the complete control when you see this tool, and when you don't, you may not want to view it on a minute chart, or even you don't even want to see it on a weekly chart. Maybe you would draw a different Fibonacci zone on a weekly chart. For example, you go to daily, double click, turn off weeks, turn off months, click OK. Now you go to 1 week. Now the candles are constructed so 1 week of trading is in each candle. Then we would go to our favorite retracement, and maybe we would pick new levels based on this information. Let's say we just kind of go like this. This is weekly, so now we have that, and then we go back to daily, and here's our daily drawing. But what's important is you have to go to weekly and double click visibility, turn off days. So now watch this. If we go to day, we have this drawing. This is the one that we drew on the daily chart. If we go to 1 week, we don't have the daily chart drawing, but we have the weekly drawing. Super important if you're looking over different time frames and you want to draw different levels based on that information. Remember, a weekly chart is going to be long term. Look how much more data you can see here, so you can draw these Fibonacci levels way back into the past in such an easier way. And if you're on the daily chart, well, this is 2020, and if we zoom out, it gets a little harder to see. So now you have your daily Fibonacci levels here, but you have your weekly Fibonacci levels here 1 week, here 1 day. You can control that by going up to your visibility and making the adjustments of your needs. So that is the introduction to the Fib retracement tools. And remember, there's trend-based Fib extension Fibonacci circles, trend-based Fib time zones, and Fib wedges. For example, here's a Fib wedge, really interesting. And here is a Fib circle, super interesting. And those tools can all be used by going to the same menu and then selecting the tool of your choice. Through this video, we hope that you have learned Fibonacci fundamentals, particularly the golden ratio, so that you can understand them on a basic level. Plus, you can also search the public library for Fibonacci to learn about other traders and investors' indicators and methods. We'd love to hear from you. So, if you like this video, please click the thumbs up button. And if you find this helpful, visit our YouTube channel for more how-to videos. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications for updates. See you there.